I'm a man who believed that I died 20 years ago, and I live like a man who is dead already. I have no fear whatsoever of anybody or anything.
I am an investigative journalist, and in 1996 I wrote a series of stories entitled Dark Alliance, which was about CIA involvement in drug trafficking.
I knew a man who once said death smiles at us all. All a man can do is smile back.
We're both in skull and bone, the secret society. It's so secret we can't talk about it. What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go on.
I'm sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the rest.
Number 322.
I have duty to report this afternoon that my friend and colleague, Tim Russert, collapsed and died early this afternoon.
I may die in this cell tonight or in the arena tomorrow. I am a slave. What possible difference can I make?
And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know.
What is up? Welcome to your favorite weekly parapolitical call-in show with your favorite host, Jose Galison, and the autism monster himself, Austin Picard, a Schizo Bros Assemble. I was a little bit, there's a part of me who was a little bit, I guess, maybe disappointed is the wrong word because it's a little bit morbid, that we had this weird, essentially, week, because it's like, we're on Tuesdays, and the one of the biggest things ever, maybe not biggest thing ever, but up there, it's pretty high up there for at least how it feels, happened the following day. And but at the same time, as I was listening to music, doing my fucking dance in the background, I'm sitting here like, you know what, good. You didn't fucking harsh my mellow for a second, like fucking, I mean, it did, obviously, like the past week. I mean, obviously, I know I got a little bit of flack for my take, but I still was like a little bit like, holy shit, I've been keeping my pistol on my side for the past week. I don't know, maybe I'm being a little bit, but it's just, I don't know when the coordinated all the beepers are going to blow up. Like, I don't know. So it's just being safe. But yeah, I mean, but anyways, it didn't drop the beat for Already Dead at least, and so I'm glad about that. I felt like it would have been weird had it been like the day of or the following day, and we had that like and then I come in this weird upbeat mood. And you're like, guys, Charlie Kirk just died, and you're like, yeah. So if anything, it's probably maybe a little bit better. We had a little bit of time between Already Dead and here, allowed us to come through here. You've done a bunch of interviews. You've been talking about this a lot this week. Obviously, I have my daily show, so we've been brewing on this. This is all everyone's talking. We forgot about Epstein. Who cares about those molested children? We're talking about Charlie Kirk. His head blew up on national TV.
That's so crazy, too, man. Like, what, the day of that the Republicans blocked the Epstein files as well, which is just so ridiculous. But it just goes to show kind of, I don't know, the nature of how they utilize a crisis clearly, and then at every level of this specifically, it's checking every box, right? Like, you get the Groyper, Nick Fuentes narrative. You also have the as far as the Israeli connection clearly involved, and then also you sort of have the late forming trans narrative that everyone was sort of expecting and waiting on. And
you caught the Muslim angle sitting in the wing too, right? Didn't you? The one that I don't know. I mean, obviously we don't know. Could be just a big old fucking coincidence. But did you see the Robert Redford connection too?
No, I don't think.
Okay, I guess connection might be putting it really strong. This is connection in the land of the schizo. But apparently, I think Robert Redford was either one of the founders or had some initial role in Sundance. Sundance Film Festival, and I guess Howard Zinn, the same guy who recently got busted for Robert Redford, and then Howard Zinn or whatever, or George Zim or whatever the fuck that weird guy is. Apparently, he also was known for being a harasser of Sundance, and I don't know, maybe I'm connecting dots, but I don't know if you remember I don't know if you covered this story or caught this story. If you saw, I forget the name of the girl, and I'm kind of really upset that I forget the name because it was actually a really jarring story. But they did this film in Sundance recently that, kind of had like this insane, something ridiculous, like a 10+ minute standing ovation. And it told the story with like collected by, people from the hospital and the rescue crew of a young girl who essentially got brutally murdered by the IDF. And so it's like, I don't know, maybe just be connecting dots, but it's like, and then Robert Redford dies in Utah a week later. I think right down the road, some sort of is the way it was characterized by somebody who tagged me, and I haven't looked into the details, but apparently very nearby a week later, and then he is a major, person with Sundance, and then one of these people, this crazy spook, this is such a bizarre world. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Honestly, dude, this guy is so obviously a plant that's been utilized to sow discord in a way, as far as just in my mind, dating back to like the Reagan administration, right? As far as I looked into that article about the past, like the history of this guy, and it's so strange, honestly, as far as like everything that connects to George Zinn. Because,
but the Boston bombing, there was nothing weird going on there. So like, whatever, right? Like him having a loose association with the Boston bombing, like, or in 9/11, those were all those straightforward type things. Like they're those were Saudi Arabians that
right.
with
he's being used as a disinfo operative as well. Like it's so obvious, and that's essentially what he sort of his role during 9/11, right, where he claims that obviously as a witness he knew Al-Qaeda was involved from day one, which is just the funniest thing, obviously reinforcing the official establishment narrative, which is what you would expect out of some sort of just controlled asset that is I would imagine on a payroll of some kind. You would have to think in my mind. Now I don't think in any way he's just coincidentally resurfacing in all of these strange events, and even served a year after those bomb threats allegedly for the Utah Marathon, which
was like just right after the Boston one. So that's the connection. So the timing is what makes it suspect. So
crazy, man. Which is another reason why it's like it always seems to, at least as far as what the narrative is it intended to be, as far as implemented in the subconscious minds of the general public, and how they will naturally sort of react to these scandalous events or high impact events, let's say. This is the playbook, right? Just recycled. It feels like we have transitioned into some sort of tranny edition of the Years of Lead. Like, honestly, at this point, right? It almost seems as if the prevailing sentiment in our sort of digital ecosystem has been, we deserve better PsyOps at this point, right?
I will say, though, I've been a little bit disappointed throughout this situation. Where some people took the bait and are still sort of taking the bait between this and I think the Venezuela thing. I think maybe those were like things that maybe, not to offend any of our audience, because I know that is kind of some of our audience, but I guess maybe low information. Kind of like, I don't know, when it comes to like the Venezuela specifically, and then this one, it's kind of like, really? You guys are just not like, you haven't been through this enough? Like,
Right.
Come on. Like, they're literally calling them narco-terrorists. With the Charlie Kirk thing, like, come on. Like, every one of these things is evidence of evidence of evidence, or like, 100%. What? Just give me the goddamn fucking evidence.
Yeah, seriously. And then the guy is charged with child porn today, right?
Yeah.
As far as that is so crazy. And again, where have we seen this? Brother of Stephen Paddock.
The son of Ryan Routh, the second attempted assassination guy.
Yeah.
So
seriously though, this is it's too hard when pattern recognition does become a superpower, as we say.
It is confusing though, because you see this and you're like, what happened? I don't know if maybe maybe once we get more documents, maybe there was some person, because the only thing I can think of to make sense of how the fuck he got, if you're going to take a conspiratorial angle, how did he even get dinged with CP, is I think maybe just a kind of like Agent Martinez, like one of those type of guys. Like maybe there was one good guy in there who was just really like, no, fuck you, like just like really was pushing some angle or something and was able to make something of it, kind of squeaky wheel type thing. So I don't know, maybe we'll find out more, but that's the only thing that made sense to me. And then maybe some kind of higher ups from above were like, slam that motherfucker with CP to give him a strong like, yo, you shut the fuck up. because it's like, you know, then these things might, you know, in the shuffle shake out, but right now you need to shut the fuck up.
Right.
You know.
Yeah,
So,
and to Melko, who's asking who got charged with child porn today, it was the George
Austin.
Zinn Patsy who was the
I'm just kidding. It wasn't
how
Austin.
dare you? How dare you? It was this George Zinn Patsy who clearly was some sort of a strategic misdirection on the ground, as far as running misdirection on behalf of the operation, in my mind, and with his pants down, screaming that he shot basically that he shot him, and then also to shoot me. Right? He also said, which I found very interesting.
And he's one of 4 distractions too. What a lot of people don't realize.
Exactly.
There was a second guy they picked up, which we never really found out much about that guy. There was another guy, I guess, riding around on a bike with a BB gun. And there's a 4th guy that I'm not even really sure what his deal is.
The guy
but yeah,
chanting USA, and he's like, "Yeah, I was doing it to cause a distraction." Like, what? Come on, man. And then later you come to find that this George Zinn character, I mean, he basically, if you consider, like, he allegedly went on the record claiming that his preferred age of sort of child that he would prefer to sexually abuse was between 5 and 12 years old. Like, he legitimately, this is according to the authorities that that just charged him with
You've already read the charging documents on this?
Yeah,
I haven't had a chance to look through it yet. Okay.
It's so crazy.
Holy shit.
Exactly. He legitimately went on the record in claiming that he enjoyed distributing child pornography for sexual pleasure, and that he preferred ages between 5 and 12 to at least see in sexual positions, if not to abuse
Jacob,
himself.
could you hunt that down for us? I would like to read that. I mean, I don't know how long the charging documents. Maybe we could find at least like the body of it or something. Maybe we could read, because I would like to know the details. I mean, if you want, Austin, if you have a lot more to go into, because there's so much to talk about. I can save this for the morning show tomorrow. That's much more appropriate for there. But I mean, yeah, that sounds like something we'd want to at least show the audience at least. Like, look at this shit. Holy fuck,
it's insane. Man. Yeah, and yeah, he was. I don't know. He seemed to be like causing more chaos even the day of. He was apparently like he had his vehicle like parked in some strange area where it was potentially causing like a some sort of roadway intervention of some kind, where it was like causing interference. And it's to me it seemed like even his vehicle was strategically positioned on behalf of the operation, and I wouldn't at all be shocked if that was the case, because it seems as if not only were there multiple distractions in position, you had them in strategic geographical areas as well that would draw attention, right? And as far as like,
didn't the car not move too? Like it stayed at the college too? Because that's another part of the story that doesn't make sense. You're like, how the fuck? Because he's 3 hours away, so somehow he got from there. And I mean, obviously I don't know, this is all still early. I guess I don't even know for sure. I'm saying I feel like I've heard that's another one of the discrepancies of like, how the fuck did he get there, where I believe his car stayed at the college. I might not be 100% of that one, but I'm pretty sure that, I mean, there's so many discrepancies, it's impossible to keep up. Doesn't make any fucking sense.
No, it doesn't. And
like, you saw fucking Kash Patel stutter fucking like the most hedge, which, to be fair, I guess we find out the next day sort of what he meant, but even then that didn't really help. And it was like I don't know. It's Even then, he said it was because of their aggressive interviewing or something. Is that how they said it? Aggressive interrogation. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Yeah. I don't know, it's just been a shit show.
And I think the kid himself, right, is in like some sort of high security ward where they claim he's on suicide watch, and potentially, they put you in a smock whenever that happens, right? You're basically, you can't move your arms, and I'm just considering the idea of, like, you remember what they did with James Holmes. I mean, that kid was kept in like a dissociative state throughout the entire process, I'm just, clearly this ridiculous FBI fan fiction confession that is circulating is clearly, in my mind, the kid himself is allegedly not cooperating, is the last that I've heard, as far as the most recent reports on him personally in this moment. And he's refusing to cooperate and has not yet confessed, but yet his own father claims that he confessed. And his father told the authorities he would keep him secured until they could arrive, right?
Yeah, until Bill Ackman could arrive with his 1.2 million.
Yeah, what is that? Oh my God, what was the number they said Netanyahu offered Charlie Kirk specifically? I saw that earlier. Hold on,
is it the same one? I want to say it was like 1.5 or something. I mean, it would be weird if it was 1.2, like if it was the same number.
Right.
But yeah,
let me find it because it is nuts. But I will say it's also absolutely absurd that you have Kash Patel going on the record claiming that Epstein is trafficking children to himself, right? This is all happening in the current moment, which is hilarious to me. But
was his first court appearance today? I didn't. I guess he probably got like arraigned or something real quick. Shadows in the Cornfield said he looked pretty content in that first appearance today. Said virtually nothing, which I think you normally would in one of the initial
Tyler
arraignment
Robinson?
or whatever. Yeah, that's what Shadows in the Cornfield's saying. So I didn't realize he had his first appearance. I knew it was going to be soon. I thought it was, for some reason I thought it was like tomorrow, but I guess it was maybe today. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm still holding on. Let me find that Netanyahu number because it is interesting as hell. And I will say that there's an additional connection here too. Did you notice that underneath the Charlie Kirk RIP post from RIP post from Trump,
the Shlomo Perl?
Dude, what is that?
Is that legit? Chat, let me know. Like, because it's like it was one of those. To be honest, I saw it from one of those like sloppish kind of accounts. I'm like, it takes a huge grain of salt, but you're like, it is weird. Like, it does just say Shlomo Perl. And it's like, is there a Shlomo Perl? Like, what is the point of that? I mean, I don't know. Maybe
here's the point of allegedly, if this was on the post, in Israeli slang, Jose, Shlomo Perl or Shlomo Perl describes a gullible Patsy, someone so naive they fall for tricks and metaphorically, quote, disappear into them without a trace. The term is apparently from a Hebrew pun. Shlomo is a common name, and Perl sounds like Peril, short for Pashut Ne'elem. I don't fucking know. And is tied to Shlomo Perl, a Jewish Holocaust survivor who allegedly deceived the Nazis by posing as an Aryan, Joseph Peters, and even joined the Hitler Youth. That's so who knows? I mean, if it is true, then that's another layer, right? As far as not only the 33 hours into the manhunt, right? The fact that Charlie Kirk's show began this in 2019, 6 years and 66 days to the day that he was shot, right? Which is just absolutely ridiculous if you're considering an occult, at least a layered occult ritual of Kabbalistic theme. You would have to imagine even the way the structure of the event itself, you had symbolism involved with just sort of like the area, right? As far as like represented a sort of menorah shape, but also I think there were additional occult aspects to it. So yeah, numerology.
Did you follow that? Did you see that Goats Island thing? Did you find that thread?
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, I covered it on the morning show for those that are interested.
On his computer,
I put it in my kooky theories, proportion or whatever. But it was like one of those kooky theories. I'm like, I don't know how kooky this really is. But I'm like, I don't know. Maybe that's just a stock screensaver. Just happened to be that location. I don't know. I mean, I made the point that perhaps because like part of the theory of like for those who are unaware, like Tyler Robinson or whatever was it Tyler? Yeah, he was. There was one of the photos which he's always in the same blue or red shirt and like jeans basically, which is weird. It kind of looks like stock photos to begin with, and then one of them he's standing next to a computer that shows a landscape on it, and then like the thread was like, find this landscape, like what is this, and then you come to find out like what was that place, and it was Goats Island in New Zealand, I think is what it's called. And apparently come to find out it's some like research location right by there that's funded by Bill and Melinda Gates. And then there's also like there's a supposed area, like a retreat or something called Valhalla over there, where supposedly there's been rumors of elites that have been and all sorts of like things since antiquity. Supposedly it's a rumor. Obviously this is kind of a semi-slop thing, so it's a little bit probably hammed up. Supposedly they even make claims that I guess in 09A that Valhalla is part of their the thing, kind of making other occult, Valhalla. And I mean, it's obviously we have Kash Patel going, hey, Valhalla. But yeah, I did make the point that perhaps I mean, maybe that's just like some stock screensaver that appears on certain models of Windows, and maybe if you do want to take a wink, and maybe there is a wink here, like a conspiracy angle, but it's not so much him as that's a Bill and Melinda Gates wink. You know what I mean? Because if it is a Windows, you know, he's the Windows guy. Like, so it's
Absolutely.
like, you know what I mean? So like, it might just be another fun conspiracy.
Oh my god!
Maybe he is raping children on some island somewhere. Right. It just may not be connected to the murder of Charlie Kirk.
My god, dude. Yeah, and we have the Discord to kill happening as well that everybody's claiming as far as the radicalization of these individual perpetrators online. I don't know, man. I understand the FBI is legitimately behind a lot of those radicalization pipelines, but I don't really put too much into the idea that is the sole reason behind the operational standpoint of how they would effectively achieve something to this sort of sophisticated level. I'm just saying, like, obviously it's very sloppy in certain ways as well, but man, not necessarily in terms of the over emotional reactionary sort of sentiment happening in the minds of the general public. Man, they're on board to every layer of
chickens
this.
Their heads cut off, dude. Bunch of fucking retards, dude.
Yep.
This is why, like, you know, you saw the shit I got, which I don't know. I actually, the more time goes on, the more I'm like perfectly fine with that, because it's like, fuck you. I mean, like, anyway. Okay, the first one, yeah, I'll admit, like, I put out 2 posts that got people upset. I put that one that was like kind of semi-joke. I mean, it was a joke. I said, what did I say? I put a picture of of Steve Ray with a gun, or not Stevie, whatever, the blind guy, whoever the blind singer was, and I said, I worded it in a way that I was like, how did I say it? I said, I remember intentionally trying to figure out a way to phrase it so it didn't sound like I was supporting it. I was just making the dumb joke, he has a big head. So it's like, maybe not at the right time, so whatever. I get people, why'd you make a dumb joke now? If anything, I was like kind of actually shocked. I put holy fucking shit as the first part, and I guess just my dumb brain, anytime I have any sort of like legitimate, any sort of revealing anything, my first instinct is to cut it with levity.
Right.
So, like, I don't know, that's just me. Whatever, maybe that was improper time. But then I did later kind of go, I did put a tweet that it's like, reminder, Charlie Kirk was a piece of shit who had no qualms, what did I say? No qualms, pandering for pedophiles and genocide. And it's like, I think, and then people say, oh, it's too soon, we can talk. No, it's not too soon. People have shut off their critical thinking, and they do need to be reminded. And it's not necessarily to speak ill of the dead. It's just to remind you, don't, before you get all whipped up in a frenzy. And I actually think it's important, especially with all this like Israel stuff that kind of got thrown out with this. I think it was kind of good just to like kind of almost jar the moment for a lot of people to some extent, to kind of be like this reminder, like, hey, like this wasn't as straightforward before everyone starts rolling into, worshiping him as a hero or whatever. Now, I do think there's obviously interesting questions on like where he stood, but to some extent it's kind of like, but that's where the story ended. So, like, I don't know, maybe he did have some sort of private thing, and we couldn't say, hey, maybe he was in the process of doing something heroic, but unfortunately never culminated into that. So, but I do think it's important to be honest with the moment that we're in and be like, this is what it is. So,
Did you see the posts were leaked to Klippenstein?
I haven't checked out Klippenstein stuff. Did he have anything interesting in there particularly, or what?
It was interesting for sure, but still, I just thought it was kind of hilarious because of the individual. I'm not sure how much I can trust him as a
Klippenstein.
Source.
Yeah. He always seems to be the one who gets the insight. So maybe he's just a really good journalist with really good sources. Sometimes you're like, your sources are too goddamn good, bud.
Yeah, he sees to glow like the sun, in my opinion.
He's always fucking Johnny on the spot. You're like, how the fuck did you get this so quick? Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I found the number though. It was allegedly Netanyahu, allegedly offered by multiple reports. This was from the Post, and it looks like Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu offered Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA $150 million in cash to adopt an even more ardently pro-Israel stance. So that is interesting, as well as obviously no one seems to be suggesting that it is a bad look for Netanyahu to be coming out addressing this so directly so often, because all it does is make everyone feel as if there's much more of an involvement with Israel, clearly in my mind, which
makes me start questioning like what's going on. Like part of me, honestly, there's like some schizo part of me that's like, especially, understanding the future of the influencer wars and stuff and where that's going, like part of me, starts to think that perhaps I wouldn't be surprised, especially as little as I trust. I have nothing to support this whatsoever other than suspicions that perhaps like the Candaces and the Tuckers of the world kind of took this as an opportunity to kind of cut down their competition, lean hard into the Israel stuff, and essentially this doesn't require you to believe Nick Fuentes in the Fed or like him or whatever, but he is their up and coming competition. It was kind of like an easy, he'll probably fall for this one. And then we have other people who, let's be real, some people in this, it kind of confirms your beliefs. Maybe you do think he's a Fed, or somebody like an Ian Carroll came out super hard and was like asserting the case. So it is like, and then Netanyahu also right off the jump. I mean, he wants to cut off his America First, first. So I could totally see them being like, here this organic thing happened. Let's just lean hard into it. They all fucking hate us. Then that make them look fucking stupid. So I could see that too. So it does feel like a trap. Although at the same time, I also could believe it's them. So it's like, it's just keep your head on a swivel. Don't fall for anything. And also keep in mind, I mean, with all of these, for example, with all these Gray Zone Blumenthal pieces, keep in mind who's the stuff other people are saying publicly and who's saying what. Those same claims coming out of the Gray Zone are the same claims that Tucker and DeCandis are also making publicly. Who's to say they aren't the sources?
Yeah.
Because now if you're trying to craft perception, now you have Tucker Carlson and Candace publicly speaking about these things. And let's say they're both also speaking to journalists, off the, like, kind of in an anonymous whatever type way. Now it looks like you have 4 people speaking on this.
Yeah.
So it's like, you get how like this is a perception game. Now, obviously I have nothing to support this other than these guys have concerning past. Very, very, very concerning past, especially the old Tuck.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, especially with the Tucker talking to, you see that Tucker on with JD Vance on Charlie Kirk's show? Oh, he didn't. Yeah. He said to his face, but I watched it myself. He said to his face, kind of, rejecting the idea of Netanyahu doing what he did, saying it's gross and all that. But I did find it particularly something odd about it, that it was, Vance and him in this format, and yet it seemed so polished. JD had kind of the perfect tact to answer it. Just seemed weird to me. But I mean, I will admit it also was done in the format of like kind of this weird fusion of the old and the new, where they were like doing like recorded, what looked like pre-recorded interviews, and they were typically pretty short, doing the whole breaking for internet, or for not internet, but for commercials or whatever, that old format. So it was like more like you can kind of control. They were only doing like 15-minute or less interviews basically, so you can kind of more control the environment. So point being is I was like kind of wild that Tucker did that, but I'm like, like how did it not blow off into more, and how was it handled so well? Kind of, if you do want to be crazy conspiratorial, you're like that kind of, I don't know what it was like. Controlled op type thing. I don't know. I mean, it seems genuine though. At the same time though, I say this and I see Candace and I see Tucker and I'll watch their shows and it feels genuine. So I mean, maybe they are genuine. Maybe they are maybe they are actually the nice, like the good guys here. Maybe they are the white hats that they were kind of somewhat part of this dastardly machine at one point, and now they've kind of gotten with kind of broken from the programming. But I don't know. I also, part of me, the schizo in me, also finds it particularly weird that like you see, if you do get into deep level like secret societies and stuff. I did find it particularly interesting the emphasis put on Charlie Kirk's conversion to Catholicism, possibly upcoming. Right. So I'm like, I don't know. Obviously, I've studied too many fucking secret societies, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on here?
Oh my gosh! But, I will say, man, getting into like the strange reaction of the wife as well. Like in my mind. I was looking into also the connections of Charlie's parents too, and also her parents, which I found interesting, and then where they even happened to meet, right?
Israel,
which was Leslie in Israel, which is just absolutely.
And she's
hilarious.
a pageant. I almost said a whore, but pageant hoe. I'll be a little more respectful here.
She was on a reality TV show too, right?
Yeah, which doesn't that seem bizarre to you? Like, and okay, this second Gray Zone article that went into this Sam of the Hamptons. Now, I will say I don't like Bill Ackman, but he claims apparently this was somewhat organized by Charlie, who was aware of what was going on. Like looking at the guest list, and I made this point on my show this morning. It just really never ceases to. Maybe this is just the goy slop from the outside looking in, having escaped it. That just is like, I'm astounded. While I'm not someone who particularly cares if someone's gay or this or that or some vapid horror or whatever, but it seems to be like in these spheres that weirdly is the ones in there, and they're like, their brand is supposedly supposed to be against that, Christian typically, conservative typically, and it's like, you have these weird gay minorities, women that fucking are just, infected with like the fucking cancer of like the worst kind of feminism, or not even, I guess I mean the worst, but feminism, and not, like, I don't know, like, not that I'm necessarily against women, but like there were lots of great. I saw Radix in the chat; she's wonderful. There's lots of great women, but then you have these sorts of women that kind of like make them look bad because they're like, this is just some dumb skirt repeating some shit. But my point being is just kind of this is the crowd you run with, like.
Right.
I don't know. It is like, it's weird. It seems which is kind of, I guess, the crux of why I really had an issue with Kirk, because it seemed to be, a lot of the things you publicly seem to support very much fly in the face of what you should be standing for.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, again, it's like you look at the father of Charlie, right? And he has very strange background as far as Robert Kirk is concerned, and very much politically prominent, clearly, as far as then working on Trump Tower as an architect, right? Which I think is interesting, especially considering his connection to, I believe,
Real quick, sorry, this is an important correction. It was Trump's. She actually was in the Trump pageants or whatever. So, but go on, my bad.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
It was just very strange that clearly he was connected to, obviously, as far as the father is concerned, not only Trump Tower, but Mitt Romney's presidential campaign, right? Which I thought was very interesting in 2012, especially with the Utah connection and the Mormon connection there, and which is so strange, clearly, that even he was allowed to run for president, understanding where he was allegedly born in Mexico, which is interesting, on a Mormon compound where they were at war with the cartels because his father was forced to move out of the U.S. due to his practicing of polygamy. And then they were outfitted. They had like Toyota Tundras, like ISIS, outfitted with machine guns on the back. It's some of the craziest footage you can find when you actually look at the ongoing conflict between the Mormon community in Mexico and the local cartels. It's hilarious to me. And again, it just, in my mind, they've been sort of leveraging this strange connection to the cartels as far as on behalf of the domestic intelligence apparatus for far too long. I mean, I always point to cartel land manufacturing methamphetamine and distributing it over the border into the U.S. And then fentanyl, obviously, sort of like just became more prominent and a priority at a certain point. But yeah, I think that Discord's rejection of the original story and what the authorities claim happened, I think that's a little bit of a eye-opening red flag, potentially. Yeah.
I need clarification. That's what I need.
Absolutely.
Because I will say it seems to be, at least what seems I've heard floating around, is that what people settled on is that, like, it was almost like, I guess you could say, a weasel word or something, like the way they said it is, they said, I think the specific thing they said is something about like the planning. And so then the idea that then you see that they said, oh, he's admitted it, that's not part of the planning, it's already done. So although that would be, I would think they would have at least been aware of the announcing it stuff. So it's just odd for them to, the only thing I could think of is like maybe, I guess, to give the out is perhaps maybe they got some word from the FBI to like hold off or something, because it's like you want to send a certain message out to the world type deal, like if there are other people connected. But I don't know, it seems bizarre to me.
Right. Did you see that story of the teacher in Canada that was showing her young class the footage of the assassination? They were like 5 and 6 year olds in the class, and was saying that it was a good thing. And essentially she got fired, obviously, but it was nuts that that you do see this very just. It's an interesting inflammation and escalation of the culture war in my mind that's by design, and the same thing with that Charlotte train stabbing, obviously, right? But the feds claim that it was used for the planning. What?
Yeah,
what
Hustle Bones is actually, if that's a good point. I should probably maybe rehash if I can find that. And Hustle, if you follow me on Twitter, tag me that, because it is interesting. Because that does seem to be what people settled on. Because especially now, keep track of if you find like legit lies. Keep track of those, because that would be a legit lie. If the feds did claim that Discord was being used as for the actual planning, and that's specifically what they said, and then Discord said otherwise, then yeah, that we should. Those are the sort of things we need to figure out. I mean, because even with this, but kind of what I was driving is I almost feel like it makes you feel like there was none, and then something changed. You know what I mean? And then now it's what we meant was. There was no planning. It was a confession. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like somebody got some word like, hey, well, that's really weird. This dude got child porn on his phone, isn't it? Huh? Isn't that weird? Isn't that so weird how some dude, some old poor man with child porn on his phone, isn't that weird, dude, right? Wink, wink.
Yeah.
One of those, you know?
Did you see that insane report that he was hanging around those ROTC kids that were allegedly in the ROTC program for the military program, and that there was no direct evidence of him allegedly being a student in this military program, but that he very much was surrounded by individuals who were attending this ROTC military program. So again, it's like, this is strange, especially when you are aware of the uncle's role, allegedly, right? As far as based on the mother's Facebook page, it seems as if the uncle was definitely involved to some extent.
Oh shit! Did you see what this guy's fucking pedigree is? Have you looked into his pedigree, or are you so aware
Michael
that
Robinson?
Michael Robinson?
Right?
Yeah. So you've seen that.
Go ahead, present it, dude. It's
I know. I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to see if I can find it. I covered this morning. I mean, hopefully I didn't delete it already. But yeah, it's crazy. The chick I had recently, the Gladio, Colonel Towner Watkins, she looked into it, and I guess I'm assuming was a retired military colonel or something. So I guess she just probably knew people. Assuming
the uncle, it was with Azov. Allegedly.
Azov. I didn't know. I didn't catch that bit.
I saw a report that the uncle, Michael Robinson, was potentially working with the Azov battalion, but that also didn't seem to be the same Michael Robinson. That it might be just some sort of viral affiliation, when in reality it's a separate Michael Robinson. But it wouldn't surprise me if that actually were the case. But I do definitely, as far as he was recruiting for the Air Force, and he definitely sort of ran a specialty program and was very much involved, right? And so I think it's not out of the realm of possibility for this to have actually been, just kind of linked back to some sort of military intelligence asset is what I would imagine. But I don't know. You have allegedly, even in the Discord discussion, as far as the alleged discussion that he had, right, with the transferee fetish roommate, was basically that it was a doppelganger, right, that did it, which I thought was very interesting, and at the very least, worthwhile as far as mentioning. But yeah, I don't know, man. The uncle specifically, he's affiliated with as a system security manager of some kind, who's dealing with the modern technology solutions.
He managed skiffs or something, which, I mean, I know I said this in the show, I was Air Force, and so I'm sort of aware of these things, but not really. A skiff I know is that's where the classified shit's at, so I guess he did have various seeming, and I don't know exactly what that means. I mean, that could mean just some dumb nerd shit that is nothing, or it could be super fucking glowy shit. I don't know, but he is working in classified environments and has access to classified information, and is literally managing classified systems. So the ones that the systems that manage classified stuff. So I don't know exactly what that means technically, but it's something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the mother is affiliated with the stock exchange in Chicago, and then she pursues a mental health sort of occupation for a time, which I found very interesting, of course, because that always seems to play a role at some point, at some level, especially considering like the path of the Patsy in my mind, which this kid seems like he fits the bill in my mind, just clearly as far as I don't know, that even the as I mentioned, right, just as far as getting him into custody, the entire thing just seems absolutely ridiculous at face value, which is hilarious that you have so many people that are absolutely certain of this kid's sort of guilt, right, which I think is absolutely ridiculous, man. I don't know. I think still we don't even have the bullet, right? As far as
Nope.
I'm concerned, and I think the chain of custody breaks down so quickly in terms of the evidentiary, proof here, right? And there's no real evidence, as far as I'm concerned, being presented that is convincing at any real level. And so, I think that the gun in the woods is just a ridiculous story. The gun in the bush wrapped in a towel. This is where the DNA evidence is discovered.
The DNA is on the towel.
On the towel and on the screwdriver, which isn't even used to allegedly disassemble. Allegedly, I don't know. This is what some people are claiming.
I've never taken apart a Mauser. I've heard it is quite a difficult thing to take apart. There's a lot of discrepancies that you don't. It seems like that you don't really even need to be a master of guns. Like just having handled a little bit of guns, you can know a lot of this doesn't make sense. Hell, I brought up on my show the whole the engraved casings. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, I think it even actually supposedly got put to bed today. That supposedly, I forget how. I don't know what they said. It supposedly we're supposed to believe that video that gun wasn't disassembled. So I guess that's supposed to solve the confusion of the disassembled thing. I mean, I don't know, because what I was driving at, a lot of the crux is people see how to disassemble to be able to break it down, to be able to jump like he did, and to not be like super obvious long rifle there. But I don't know. I forgot where I was going with that. But yeah, it did have to. The point being is, if you did break it down, actually I do remember, is it like essentially would require, he would have had to have also had gone through additional step of collecting the spent shell, because with bolt action rifles, when you fire, you have to, it's not like a semi-automatic where it ejects a cartridge with each one, and so there's also, it wouldn't stay in there if you disassemble, because you would have to you pull out the bolt, and then when you bring back the bolt action, it releases the shell so you can chamber another round. So point being is, like, yeah, it seemed like discrepancies, although now I guess they're saying that maybe that grainy video, we're supposed to believe the full long rifle somehow was there. I mean, I did see, like, it looked like it was wrapped in something, but it didn't look like a full long rifle. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, maybe the barrel, which you could say the barrel being so skinny, you wouldn't be able to pick up on the thing. Maybe the towel was only covering like half of it, and so the barrel sticking out wasn't as noticeable in that grainy video. Right. I don't know. It's there's so much shit here. Sorry, but I did want to. This is wild. This guy right here. This is what I was referring to. Michael Robinson. I found it. He did like a bunch of info security stuff when he was in the military. So I'd say the spookiest sounding thing was probably the supporting logistics and maintenance, which the logistics and maintenance doesn't sound that crazy because you're like, whatever. But then you realize what it's for. They're for the F-16s, the A-10s, and then the Minuteman III missiles. And he was the one working the skiff. So he was doing, so I'm assuming these were probably maybe some sort of special forces like type fucking, things or aircraft or some sort. Because there are special forces aircraft units, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? They do like special missions, if that makes sense. And they're attached to special forces. So it's like, this was probably what these were.
In every branch of the military, they're involved in special forces for sure.
So and these are the fighter ones. These aren't like what I worked on. I worked on heavies. So it'd be like kind of, the heavies might do some, semi, but it's not to the quite extent that fighters are going to be doing probably. Right. And then also the one that I thought was really crazy is post-military, he managed to somehow get 6 retirements. He's racked up 6 military and private sector retirements.
Interesting.
I mean, this is so...
I wonder... let's just say that reminds me of E. Howard Hunt, right?
Northrop Grumman is where he worked for one. Yes, Northrop Grumman as a skiff manager. So probably, I'm assuming he probably leveraged his top secret clearance after he got out, because if you do get a top secret while you're in, you can leverage that for these sorts of jobs. Yeah, I mean, how you can actually leverage it to be like just do stupid security, being like at a nuclear facility or something and making buku bucks just sitting around doing nothing. But some people would use it to do glowy shit like this.
100%.
Yeah.
And then
So
on top of it all, you have this sort of the right wing targeting of hate speech filling the void, which in my mind is also very much by design, right? Wouldn't you think? And Anna Paulina Luna going on Benny Johnson's show and talking about hate speech legislation and things of that nature. I mean, this is the dystopian path, and at every level they're manufacturing consent, right? Which is again, like, I feel so grateful that I don't fall into these traps, and I have the ability to critically think through some of this in the over emotional reactionary stage of things, because that was another thing that I thought was so funny about your post, and because it just proves, like, man, what we're dealing with here, right? Like it, and in my mind, it's like if things like that affect you emotionally. Like, I'm not saying that I wasn't affected to some extent emotionally by the event itself. I think it is sad, obviously, if there's political violence taking place, even if it's the operational standpoint. You know, it's in my mind, I think another escalation, and clearly we're on this in there. Obviously, the civil war of the culture war is what they're hoping to, and you see it with Jesse Waters, even with JD Vance, right? He comes out and says we cannot be friends with these leftists, these radical leftists. It's like, my God,
you don't even know.
Yeah. and I am not at all relying on this even the trans narrative forming around Tyler Robinson.
Or are we friends of the left?
Skeptical, dude. Very skeptical.
Yeah,
you know, the CIA or the feds could have easily just manufactured this Discord log and in this conversation.
Let's look at the conversation. I mean, we've referenced it, so let's look at the conversation between the two lovers here. There's two starstruck troon lovers. Right? Yeah, right
Lance
here.
Twiggs,
Lance Twiggs, which sounds like a fucking tranny porn star is what it sounds like.
It does. It sounds like a made-up name.
Yeah, so this is what they put here, which so it says, which I think there's another excerpt here, but this is one of the main ones. Is after reading the note, the roommate responded. So this is what the FBI, I guess, has provided us. Some fucking typed out Microsoft Word looking motherfucking type shit. And notice right here, do you see these ellipses right here? Yeah. You see those? That right there, for those who understand quote speak, that means there's other things between, is what that means. So for quotes, so I think that, and then you see here as well, here. Let me see if there's any more. No, these ones don't have it. So at least this seems to be continuous stream of thought. But point being is, between each one of these, there's stuff they're leaving out. So like that's suspect already.
Oh, absolutely. But I saw someone say, young gay men talk to one another like this.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I had one of these, somebody I like too. They said, this is just how the left talks. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just old. I've been like, I don't think this is how they fucking talk. But I'll read this to you guys. So once again, I just wanted to let you know this is literally some Word document looking shit that got sent to us by the FBI. This isn't even pictures of it. This isn't. There's not like somewhere you can go online to find the metadata. There's nothing. This is just a Word document, copy paste. The roommate Robinson. So this is, trust me, bro. This is what this is. Yes. So we're supposed to assume. I don't even really know if we can actually even assume that supposedly it's supposed to be pictures that they have somehow, because even they were saying they don't actually have the original metadata type stuff. They're all pictures somehow, which is like, why are you getting pictures? What's going on here? The supposed note, the reference to the beginning's been destroyed. But anyways, I guess I'll never be able to actually get to the crux of anything if I have to point out every little tiny weird thing. So we'll just take this, I guess, on its face. This is what the FBI is claiming. This is the interaction. This also kind of addresses the weird hemming and hawing that Kash did about the note here, too, where he's like, it seems to be this is somehow the proof of the note. Saying, after reading the note, the roommate responded. So there you go. There's a proof of the note. The roommate saying it. This is from the roommate saying it. This
third party everything. We're getting all of these. It's ridiculous, man. Yeah. All of these allegations are coming from third parties and individuals who, anonymous officials, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. So he goes, after reading the note, the roommate responded, "What? You're joking, right?" Which, keep in mind, the note was supposed to said something along the lines of, "I had the chance to take out I had the chance, because it was weird, the tense was improper. I had the chance to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it. So it was weird because it said I had, but then he said, no, I'm going to take it. Anyways, and so that's the note, which makes it weird, that note right there, especially as you're going to see in a second. It says, I'm still okay, my love, but I'm stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I got to grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. Which that right there I thought was interesting. To be honest, I'd hoped to keep the secret till I died of old age. Literally just the sentence before it goes after reading the note. The note which said I had the chance to take out Charlie Kirk, so I'm going to take it. And then it says the very next sentence. So it's like these are like contradictory actions. Like, why would you tell your lover, I'm going to go murder Charlie Kirk, and then the next thing in some back and forth you go, to be honest, I'd hoped to keep this a secret. Then why did you not just keep it a fucking secret? So anyways, right? And so I'm so sorry to involve you. The wording itself is weird too. Anyone who's like, this literally is like glowy, on like entering the chat type shit. So because you weren't the one who did it right, the roommate, and then Robinson, I'm sorry. Roommate, I thought they grabbed the person. Robinson, no, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. Bear in mind, we have no idea any of the time any of this stuff is happening. So how the fuck many people brought up, how does he even know this is the case so far? Then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering. See how it almost seems like it's like CYAing the FBI too in a weird, retarded way? It's like all these weird, like minor points, like, well, how did he do this? How this? Here's this really stupid way in which he kind of describes it in an odd way. Like, why would he even do this? Anyways, roommate, why? Robinson, why did I do it? Roommate, yeah. Robinson, I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. It's like a fucking after-school special. If I am able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Retrieve it, I find. Keep in mind the vernacular he's hearing. It sounds very technical. It sounds like if I was, military documentation or police documentation, or that's what it reminds me of. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it. Once again, those ellipses I mentioned before. Roommate, how long have you been planning this? Robinson, a bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there's a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it. Robinson, I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. I don't know if it had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about Prince. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. Didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find Prince. How the fuck will I explain losing to my old man? Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Remember how I was engraving bullets? The fucking messages are mostly a big meme. If I see noses bulges, ooh woo, on Fox News, I might have a stroke, alright. I'm going to have to leave it. That really fucking sucks. Which, once again, I'm not the first one to point out. Why is he, kind of stressing these bullets and like, oh, that's so weird. Oh no, they're going to find the bullet. I hope they don't find the gun. You're like, well, why did you engrave the bullets?
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. I know that's a lot to but yeah, that's
no, dude. It's not at all, honestly, because it's absolutely ridiculous and worth mentioning at least every word in detail. I think as far as what they claim, what they intend us and expect us to embrace as the actual official narrative behind this sort of and provide us with a motive, which is hilarious because once again, we have no clear official motive whatsoever in terms of the actual kid in custody, in my opinion. And you also have to think about, what was it? Beyond a Hey Fascist Catch, and it was like Bella Ciao, the anti-fascist song in Italy that was just sort of referencing their fight against the Nazis, and then they claimed that the up arrow and right arrow and the two down arrows were technically from
Helldivers 2.
Helldivers 2, yeah. It's like how you sort of basically.
Which I am not a gamer. I've heard people say that. I don't even really know what you do in that game. I don't know what type of game it is. I don't even know if it really says anything about you said Brad plays, or I saw on your show, whatever this is, I said Brad plays it. So he's also obviously a virulent racist. So keep an eye on him.
Definitely, man. You can't trust Brad.
But my point being is I don't really know what to make of that. I don't know. I didn't know if that. I guess I assumed at first when I heard it was Helldivers 2, I assumed it was probably some crazy over the top like Nazi, some sort of crazy niche community video game or something. Okay.
It's just like a PvP, like essentially like a PUBG or some shit. It's just
I don't even know what PUBG is.
Player Unknown Battlegrounds. It's just another sort of what do they call it? Drop in, and there's a term for the specific style of game that it is. But either way, I forget right now. But the point being, there was a strange connection that I saw William make that I thought was hilarious, as far as the kid allegedly being captured on surveillance footage that no one has yet, clearly we've yet to see, allegedly making a phone call, right? Just moments before climbing onto the roof of the building. And that in itself, of course, the implication is that he may have been in contact with someone as the events were unfolding. But I think, the Manchurian Candidate, because we both just had William on recently to discuss that. And
you
what
piece of
was the
shit.
part?
I'm just kidding. It was funny how it worked that way because I paywall, so it's like it just happened to work out that way.
I swear I had it scheduled, and then I saw that you had the same thing scheduled. I was like, oh shit.
It was like me, you, and then like the next day I think even NDS did like one or something. So it's like with you though. So like I don't know what the hell the deal was with that. Like I thought there was his deal, but I guess I don't know. He fucking William passed off the baton to you.
I thought it was strange that it was named the Manchurian Candidate, just because I was like, oh shit, like I don't want William to think that I was treading on his subject matter. Obviously, that wasn't the goal, but I did think though that it was very interesting and worthwhile as far as mentioning that fact as well, because what happens, dude, I stayed up that night too, like Thursday night till like 3 a.m. and I made like 2.5 pages full of notes on the Manchurian Candidate, just watching the movie from the 1962 film. And dude, it was so interesting and just phenomenal, right? It'd been so long since I had actually watched it. And from this new sort of perspective, right, and new kind of lens that I could view it through, in my mind, it just goes to show, right, like what happened when Raymond came back fully programmed as a sort of just a tool of violence, right, that they could call upon at any moment to trigger into his hypnotic suggestibility. And I found it strange though, because obviously we had been talking recently about the artichoke documents from 53 and how they were claiming, yes, they had full ability at this time to apparently utilize a telephone and trigger an individual from a fully free will, clear-minded state to a fully hypnotic trance, right? A full hypnotic trance, basically, just by conducting a phone call, right, and triggering them into this full trance. And so that in itself, I considered the idea of like what happens with Raymond. I mean, they call Raymond and they ask, is this Raymond Shaw? And he says, yes, this is Raymond. And they effectively use the trigger phrase mechanism to basically, tap into his first layer of programming, which is essentially, you should pass the time by playing a little solitaire. And then as soon as he plays solitaire and gets to the Queen of Diamonds, the secondary layer of programming is triggered, and his secondary layer of suggestibility is also triggered. And then therefore anything you basically tell him becomes a set of instructions for him to obviously carry out instantly. And that in itself, I think, how much could this have been sophisticated since 1953 when we became, as far as just publicly aware of this ability that could so easily have been kind of like leveraged against us for generations at this point. And now I'm wondering, clearly we've had a few different windows into how you could remotely trigger an individual asset, but I just wonder, I guarantee you, the level of sophistication involved with these sort of methods of mind control are far more than we probably even have the ability to conceptualize in this current moment. Honestly, I would think so. That's the only point on that I thought was worthwhile, right? As far as the phone call being mentioned as just reported. But anyway, I don't know. It's nuts, buddy. The whole
It
thing.
is. I just realized we've been flowing. We've been in a flow state, but we're at about an hour. We need to take a break. I could go for some water, take a leak, all that. Anyway, so I think it's about time for that intermission, and then we'll come back for a call in. We'll see. If you're just a reminder for the patrons of me and Austin, we do send out links the week or like the day of or whatever, and that way for the patrons, you guys can join. You can join the video via video chat. You kind of like a talking head like me and Austin are right now. You can hang out with us. But for the pullers, you guys are gonna have to try the call in. We will bring up the number here shortly. I know we had technical difficulties last week. Once again, I apologize. I had to leave halfway through, but I'm here now. But we did have technical difficulties. I did get to try to be the person to call in, and I was the technical difficulties, so it kind of worked out that I had to leave. So I just called while I was on the road. But we're gonna. I think we might have figured something out. We're gonna try it again. But if that doesn't work, whatever. I guess maybe we'll interact with the chat, and also you take video calls from the patrons. So I think the format will be a lot of the patrons will kind of hang out with us. If they have questions they can ask, maybe they'll hang out and field a couple calls with us. That'll be the vibe. Maybe guests joining us too. But with that, Jacob, are you ready for that beautiful bean footage? You good? You give me. I guess I can see if you want to give me a little thumbs up. You good? Well, I can see you. I can literally see you. So Jacob, just give me one of these. All right, cool. Yeah, go ahead and roll it then. Let's do it. Yeah. We'll play. See what we got for this week.
Not accept that as being the
trust nothing, head on the swivel.
Yeah, remain skeptical, right? Just doesn't seem legitimate to me. And there's always, we have to discern for ourselves between what is theater and what is not. But I think, during PsyOps season, we're well aware the lines are being strategically blurred for a purpose, you know.
We can bring up the little doodle, Trump's doodle. Yeah, I could probably find it too, but that got dropped. I believe that was as a result of the subpoenas on the Epstein estate. Mm-hmm. I believe there was some action, some bureaucratic something or other done by Ro Khanna and Massey before they went on recess, I think. And so I think this is it now, just producing fruit, if I recall correctly. That was one I remember when it happened. I was kind of like, okay, cool, I guess. I don't really expect much, but I've been, I guess, pleasantly surprised, I guess the way to put it. But I was like, oh shit, they actually came with some fire here. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was definitely redactions and this and that, but holy shit balls.
Right.
Dude, I don't know what to say other than pedopocracy confirmed. Like, exactly. Dude, these dudes fuck kids. Like, I don't know, what more do you need? Like, these dudes fuck kids. They trade kids among their friends. Like, these are demons in human form.
I swear I changed, but everything's the same. Face all black, I'm trying to escape. I'm stuck in a place I can't escape. Spending my days digging my own grave. As legends in my blood, the blood has found to rest. Violence of the Lord, and the distance fading. Stuck in a place that I can't escape. Spending my days digging my own grave. I swear I try my best to put these thoughts to rest, but it's so damn hard, everything's the same mess. All I want is to go down.
Dude, that fucked. I really dug that. That was dope. I really like that one. That's a. I'll be honest. Like my taste in music is like a little bit more like a. More in the stuff that I guess Jolly on used to play, like more like metalcore. I think there's I guess Jacob has a little bit more of a harder taste than I do, and it's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Everyone's got different flavors, but that one was like, yeah, that felt good. That was good. They gave you the strong edit vibes, but I like that one. That was dope. All right, we're in the call-in portion now. So I think we'll probably have a banner or something. They'll come up with the number here soon. There we go. What's the number? I guess we should probably announce it for the people just listening. As soon as I expanded the screen to look, of course, and I can't see it. It's 1-8. I don't have to memorize this for plugs. 1-833-722-DEAD. That's the number. If you want to call in, try it out. Spit on me. What was the fucking stupid your mom's house joke? Whatever. I can't even spit on me. Try it out. But yeah, try it out. Give it a call. I mean, for the patrons, if any of you guys want to pop up, I see a handful of y'all back there. I know a lot of you guys like to just hang out in the private chat and don't want to pop up on the screen, and that's perfectly fine. I did also send out a link to a certain somebody. They know who they are. If they do want to join, I don't know if they're busy or not, but otherwise, I guess we're back on the Charlie Kirk discussion. We'll leave it to Jacob to handle in the back the callers and stuff. That's what we have a producer for, and we appreciate him for it.
I wanted to show you this really quickly because I thought Kash Patel himself was it was so sloppy how he kind of dealt with this, and then also he corrects this guy on the left midway through the conversation. And it's very interesting. I felt like, just as far as the context as to, it clearly feels as if he's controlling this narrative in the worst way possible. And once again, no evidentiary claims are being made here. It's kind of hilarious what he points to as the evidence. And again, this is like him explaining the DNA evidence to a certain extent. And this should give everyone more doubt in regard to the DNA evidence specifically. I thought it was so funny.
Absolutely. It's so good to be with you. And you're right. My personal feelings and relationship with Charlie, I have a job to do for the American people, and I've committed to do it for President Trump. We flexed all resources the FBI had and surged multiple air assets as soon as this occurred.
Whatever that means.
Response technicians, hostage rescue technicians, and special operators in and out of Utah, cycling evidence back and forth on these FBI planes as soon as we could so that there was no delay. And what we did once I got there, along with the deputy on the ground around 5 p.m. local on September 11th, was walk the entire crime scene, including the foots the suspect himself took. And what we learned was there was evidence, DNA evidence that could be collected and had been collected, including a screwdriver that was found on the rooftop. Also, we went over to the scene in the wooded area where the firearm was discarded. And the firearm had a towel wrapped around it. It's important. I'll get back to that later. I even walked into the wooded area in the ravine, so I knew from my investigative experience what I could bring to the table and what decisions I needed to make. And having the support of President Trump and the full support of the White House was what we needed for these resources to happen. And I can report today that the DNA hits from the towel that was wrapped around the firearm and the DNA on the screwdriver are positively processed for the suspect in custody.
So with that right there specifically, like once the perpetrator is in custody and that is when the DNA evidence arrives, I'm already skeptical. That's all I have to say, right? Especially considering how the FBI usually conducts their investigation.
Yeah. And it's on the towel?
Yeah, on the towel. Just stop it.
That is vital. That is breaking news and vital information, because now you have the casings for the gun. This. So you connect the gun. Now you got his DNA on it. That's huge. But I also want to get to another part.
I just got to interrupt. Sorry. I just got to interrupt. We have the DNA on the screwdriver that was found on the rooftop and the towel that the firearm was wrapped in. The firearm itself, this is a great point. Thanks for raising
his eyes.
That is being processed by ATF laboratories in Maryland, and I believe they'll speak to that at a later date when their process is incomplete. But I just want to let you know the FBI handled the screwdriver.
What's that?
But you know what I mean by the eyes, but he keeps looking up. Like you see, he's got something's up here. I noticed this too on my thing.
Something that was up there, maybe that's why his eyes are drawn to like some sort of script.
Yeah, which to be fair, people have notes and stuff, but I don't know. I guess to some degree, it just, I don't know. It speaks to what are you doing here? I mean, your job is
Very
public
strange.
speaking, and at the very least, like, you're doing this like odd, like you clearly aren't polished in the knowledge. I mean, I understand having notes there to be. I don't know. It feels like he's reading notes or verbatim, or I don't know. It just feels.
Absolutely.
It just doesn't feel like what you should get. And then at the same time, though, he's so cavalier and just saying wild shit that from like any sort of like legal perspective, you're like, whoa, dude. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this guy gets off.
Yeah.
Because it's if anything, I could obviously see the play there of like how to outrage the right. And you're like, oh, well, now there's no legal. Yeah, because Kash fucked it all up for you by destroying the case like live on TV.
Exactly. Did you see this as well? Which, of course, anything from Benny Johnson, I'm very instantly wondering how it reinforces the CIA's narrative, which is clearly usually his role, very much like the Sean Ryans of the world, obviously. But this is interesting, the Arctic Frost program, right? Did you see that?
Yeah,
So
unfortunately
funny.
I did. I will go ahead and let you know Chuck Grassley will bore you the fuck to death. I literally,
Definitely.
I already forgot what he's talking about halfway through. It's kind of impressive.
He's the perfect individual asset you would want in that position to drive everyone away from actually seeing what's happening. I think that's one of the key reasons why they put individuals like that into place, because I swear they would prefer you do not tune in to like the public hearings whenever they're conducted. They essentially only want individuals to interpret the clips as they're cut up and shared online virally to essentially kind of reinforce various propagandistic narratives, which, if you haven't noticed, clearly you have. The power of the propaganda in this current moment is just, it's drenched all over every single aspect of these ridiculous details, which, as we mentioned before, are all coming from these absurd sources that feel very unreliable, in my opinion. But anyway, check this out for just a moment.
Well, it's well understood that your predecessor left you an FBI infected with politics. I'm going to provide examples of that today, including making public new whistleblower records. At your nomination hearing, I made public records that whistleblowers provide me about Arctic Frost. Arctic Frost was the FBI case opened and approved by antitrust Trump FBI agent Thibault. Arctic Frost then became Jack Smith's elector case against then citizen Trump and now President Trump.
This is very impressive as far as how boring he is.
These new records show that Arctic Frost
what are we talking
was
about
much
again?
broader than just an electoral matter. The case was expanded to Republican organizations. Some examples of the group
Please
that
make it stop.
Gray FBI sought to place under
I feel like I could
political
summarize this. Why do we have to do
We
this?
basically can, yeah. Hold on, let me see if we can get to the Kash Patel portion.
I just can't. I literally even covered this morning. I was just like, I zoned out of my own show and I was like, wait, what? Like, legit, dude. It's awful. I think the crux of the point, the crux here is. Okay, yeah. Hey, what's up, Bobo? I do think the crux here, though, is interesting in that the crux of the God. What were we just talking about? Sorry, you threw me off, Bobo.
Oh, the Arctic Frost, right?
Oh, the crux of it is they're already setting up every fucking angle, no matter what. Like, you know, even if it is like, oh, we do find out, yep, all you fucking crazies. I guess except for the Israel one, they haven't hedged that one. But like, if it even does become the feds, they will just probably somehow obfuscate, throw one guy under the bus, or spin over, you know, some sort of, oh, now we got to do bring him before out of Congress and do some talky talks and nobody will get in trouble. But essentially they're already framing it as, oh, there's politics with the thing we just got to clean up over the FBI. It's like, you know, it's just, you know, all this, they politicized the FBI. It's a weaponization from the previous administration. We're just trying to fix the problems of the past. And so here we are. It's already like, you can see it. Yeah. Huh?
Oh, I was just sorry. I accidentally talked over. I was just saying, like, since fucking MLK, it's been fucked up. Like, come on now,
dude. Operation Chaos, man. That was just such a ridiculous example of what they're willing to do to domestic groups that decide to organize and attempt to hold power to account, you know, or accountable in any real way. Yeah, I mean, we've mentioned many times just the ridiculous level that they would actually stoop to, infiltrating local police departments, and far beyond that, as far as even this. I mean, anytime that security is involved, like I legitimately think that as far as the Secret Service, I mean. I find it so interesting how often they seem to be the priority investigating body, and in terms of the also facilitating the cover up and like covering their tracks in terms of the operational standpoint of so many of these organized, kind of, it's really the black market enterprise being exploited by the intelligence agencies. But I mean, you know what I mean? It's just like they have these sort of, it's the Craig Spences of the world, right, and the Larry Kings of the world that you can always point to and find plenty of evidence to sort of just further reinforce this notion of how willing they are to sort of stoop to an incomprehensible level of just morality, right, and immorality, I should say, and again, it's like I'm very. To me, you see how all the talking heads are attempting to escalate the tension in this moment, and that is, again, it's the strategy of tension, right? It's how they utilize these high impact events, and so I think that all that will happen is there will continue to be this consistent crackdown on free speech, and especially in regard to. Right. And so anyone who has the audacity, and you already saw, right, like Turning Point and the wife of Charlie Kirk are allegedly like taking legal action and preparing legal action against all of these people who've allegedly, smeared the name of her husband during this process, which is, I don't know, I'm telling you, like her parents and really even the short amount of time that they've really even been together, it's, I don't know, the entire situation screams one of dude,
aren't they all spooked up anyway?
That's what I was trying to drive at the disparity between the situation, because I guess I don't know this broad, but something about kind of I guess maybe trying to make the connection between the Hamptons visit before and the type of people Charlie seemed to be cavorting with or whatever, and then his wife, which I don't know anything about her. She could be a sweet saint, but she does clearly probably comes from some sort of money of some sort. She was in the pageants, as I would assume. If she was doing that as a young adult, she probably came up in the pageant life, which is some other dark hole on its own. Yeah, and Trump owned it because it was a Miss America shit, I think, which I believe he owned, because she was Miss Arizona.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I was just kind of making the point between that and then the reality stuff. It's like, I never watched that reality show. Maybe she was the one super Christian girl that everyone, like, I don't know, maybe she's super sweet, but it's just the impression from the outside in, not knowing anything about these things, it kind of puts off skeevy vibes. And then now they meet in Israel, and then
have
you're not wrong.
Contracts, legitimately her parents have contracts for the Department of Defense and the Department of Energy, and I believe the father of Charlie Kirk basically put up the vast majority of the funding necessary for Turning Point to be established as well. And so I think that
didn't he also construct some of Trump's buildings?
Yeah, that was Kirk's dad.
Yeah, he was an architect that worked on Trump Tower basically, and apparently I had mentioned earlier as well, as far as the Mitt Romney connection to his presidential campaign, which in no way is a coincidence for me. And then obviously the mother becomes a part of the mental health field as a mental health counselor after she's involved with the stock market exchange. And I think that, where have we seen that before, as far as like a Jeffrey Epstein connection to the stock market, and then also if you and it's another laundering sort of a branch of how you launder money in terms of the lottery, right? That's so very clearly obvious. I mean, how does Zorro Ranch, Epstein's property, win the lottery twice, right? It's just so hilarious.
Kevin Spacey's mom won the lottery. I covered that this morning, and she said she attributed it to a fairy godmother that gave it to her when she was young.
No way. When did this happen? Do you know what year?
I just covered this morning. I don't know when it came, and you could probably find it. It was an old Kalani Pin Gosh, or whatever that guy, an old thread from his, actually from like a couple years ago. Just happened to have bookmarked, And I just thought it kind of made a good point because I did want to kind of put my coverage of the Kirk thing, end it with a bow today, and kind of I wanted to leave it on a note of like trust nothing, and then I kind of that kind of connected because like literally he quote tweeted from the jump the what like a year or two ago where Tucker had him on for his like Christmas weird little special thingy, like a little Christmas 10-minute surprise where he like was like acting like his character in that show or whatever I forget what his name is, but. And this was like coming off the heels of, or not the heels, I guess it was like right around the time people had started to forget about the Kevin Spacey,
that's what I was wondering.
Yeah. So it's like, so then obviously the illusions there is like, why do you have Tucker seemingly rehabbing this Kevin Spacey?
Oh my God. Yeah, exactly.
And then it's like point being is keep your head on the swivel. Like, we don't know. I don't know.
Dude, it's just PsyOps within PsyOps within PsyOps with a
exactly.
fucking mirror.
Yeah.
It's just like the whole thing with this going on, right? Like, 4 hours after Charlie gets fucking assassinated, there's like the fucking Senate votes on it. Sorry, I was watering the garden, so like some of the headphone stuff went in and out, and I couldn't hear y'all.
Well, you're good, buddy.
Real quick, sorry, don't mean to step on you. I know you're the guest here. Real quick. Some in the chat said J-Lo's mom won the lottery too. Obviously, I don't take that as Kara says, however far that goes. That's wild.
It's after she held Diddy's pistol up her vagina, dude.
Probably.
She had to get a payoff somehow.
Yeah.
That's so funny, man. Honestly, as far as the members of these individuals who connect directly into these establishment agendas. That's the issue that I continue to consistently try and spotlight, obviously. But then you have Kash Patel, firing the head of the FBI, the field office in Utah, which I thought was very interesting. That happened right before the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and I find it also strange that you had former agents going on the record claiming that she was the absolute best in the bureau, a legendary case agent involved in the biggest national security cases of the last 2 decades, and she's fired just before this happens. And apparently she gave a final warning. She said, what we need here in Utah is more resources, more agents, more professional staff, more intel analysts, which obviously any sort of establishment puppet would make that claim. They're always vying for funding, but it's just the timing, man. Like, how are we supposed to chalk it up to this coincidence, this grand coincidence?
Yeah.
It's impossible. Yeah,
there's too much I mean, I know there's there is. I'll be completely honest. There is no evidence, like of that. I don't know. I guess like Israel or the feds or really that anyone did it. Even like I guess there's some. I guess you could say
People
there's
benefit,
sort of
though.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
Yeah,
people benefit. Like Israel benefits it. Like the Republicans and Democrats benefit
Ben
from
Shapiro
it.
took over. Ben Shapiro, man, turning point, baby. That's just so funny.
To be fair, I don't think he took it over. That was later. There was a community note on that. I don't think he ever said anything. He did just say that one blood stain. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if he does try to like finish his leg of the tour or something, because he was in the middle of the tour. So that does seem like almost predictable for somebody to jump on. But maybe he'll wait for that. That felt like a foreshadowing to me. But yeah,
I thought he said he would pick up the sort of
blood-stained microphone. Yeah.
Well, I know he said that, but I think there was he even I think went as far as to say that he would conduct these debates on campus. So he would continue on Charlie's legacy in that very way.
I think he did say something about debates or somebody. I think it's unclear. That's why I'm saying I think he might be taking over the last like finishing his tour, perhaps. Okay. Although I don't know if he overtly said that. What I was referring to is I know a lot of people, and it was like there were a few viral posts that said this, so I see why people. Right. There's a lot of like in the haze of everything. It's understandable. There's so much shit coming so quick. Absolutely. But a lot of people were saying that like, yeah, he took over Turning Point already. Like he was going to take over Turning Point, which I wouldn't surprise me if some sort of play for that. I don't know how the fuck they would even do that because I don't think it's technically connected to it, so I don't know how he would just get to take it. But I guess that's what the Jays do. They just take what's not theirs.
Well, it's all within a few days, right? As far as the boycotting Israel being banned by the Pentagon, as far as their ability to boycott Israel in any real way, and then that bill to revoke citizenship for criticizing Israel, I thought was very interesting. Right?
Did you see that clip Trump said where he? Okay, there was a Bondi clip this morning about hate speech, and then Trump then responded saying something about like, about some protester about how like they should be locked up. Somebody that he was going to some restaurant and they were yelling at him, and he even said like, "Oh, she should be locked up for RICO charges or whatever." And you're like, "Holy shit!" And then he then said it to, I don't know if it was Fox or who it was. They asked him again to kind of like to confirm it, and then he was kind of like, "Yeah, you guys should be." And you're like, "Holy shit!" Like what, like tripling down, quadrupling down.
Exactly.
You're like, "What the fuck is like what is?" And then when you put this in the, I don't think people realize the insane legal over. Which I mean, I know we always say they do whatever the fuck they want, anyways. But like, I've been reading some of the stuff of like the Venezuela shit, and you have like military members who are like, this is so off the beaten path from what is like appropriate and what we're supposed to do. Like they're just flagrantly just fucking bombing little dingy boats off the coast of fucking Venezuela. You're like, there's no legal anything for this. And that's what they're saying. There was literally on record, or maybe actually I don't know if he gave his name. Maybe it was anonymous. I have to go check. But some high up, he's like, they're just murdering. That's what they're just murder.
Yeah, except like he's legitimately out here parading around talking regime change. So I'm not at all. I would very much expect that to potentially unravel at some point as far as our foreign policy priorities are concerned. It's the name of the game, man. And did you see which was it? Brazil's leader, I believe, who just was rushed for feeling ill or some shit, rushed to the hospital. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it was Brazil. But either way, that kind of caught my attention as well, because anytime you see a sort of potential shift in the leadership, right, especially with these priority countries that are very much being targeted by the military-industrial complex. I mean, it to me it feels like obviously you already had Elon himself as the face of regime change in Venezuela there, so he sort of will I think benefit in many ways in considering the what they're hoping to just bleed them dry of in terms of their natural resources, and how it will benefit American companies and corporations like Elon's company specifically as well. So I don't know. I think again that whole breakup between Trump and Elon was so much kayfabe. It's hilarious, and JD Vance himself is profiting off of that, obviously. But yeah, I think all the language around this is just clearly, in my mind, it screams an attempted culture war escalation, and that's my biggest fear. And I think it's working perfectly in terms of the agenda. And so, yeah, I think it's hard to dismiss any of this at face value, and as far as the Israeli connections. And I think that's also potentially a trap, as you had laid out before. And that's kind of what I was running with in a certain way, because if it feels too easy, I think it's very much a strategic trap being well laid.
Definitely. They're trying to get Palantir out there. They want like a miniature civil war of like, you have Missouri versus Illinois. They go across the river, attack each other, and then they want fucking, Palantir to come out and save us.
Right. National Guard to Memphis instead of Chicago. You saw that, right? I'm like, what? That all happened within the past week as well. I thought it was hilarious, but go ahead. I didn't mean to derail you.
Oh no, I'm just trying to say I agree with you. They want some shit to go on, either to get right to the edge and then back the fuck off with something else crazy happening, or they want to go full on authoritarian, have us kind of fight each other over the culture war shit, and then bring out the Palantir so we can go ahead and get the digital ID and everything else next.
Absolutely.
At least that's my whole thing.
Oh yeah, no, you're 100% right, buddy. This is the pivot to the technocratic state, and we're well on our way to the dystopian biometric surveillance that is being implemented in every street corner, right? And yet they still have no ability to track the perpetrator. What? I mean, the whole thing just screams
that was
ridiculous.
Insane. Like they would have said they found a screwdriver there at the first time. Like that's the thing that still bugs me too right now. I'm like, because it's a fucking Mauser, right? You got to take it the barrel to action, and you got to fucking unscrew the two screws where it goes in with the bottom metal and the wood stock. You have to. Yeah, and I don't know, man. Like I was like, there's so many fucking things wrong with this, and then everyone's trying to say, oh, it's a hit job, it's a professional. I'm like, there's no fucking way he accidentally messed in his neck.
I don't know. I definitely
Well,
don't
that's
think
assuming
the
you
kid did
miss.
it.
So
I seriously
Well,
don't think the kid was the perpetrator. I would much more be on the wagon of thinking it would have been a professional hitman and
dude, real quick, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but
Go ahead.
maybe one of you might remember this, but there was something that in all these clips that were mined of these, with Charlie Kirk and his position, there was one where I swear, or maybe it was somebody who responded to him. There was someone who said something about a shot in the back of the neck, and I think they were referring to something. They were essentially using a metaphor of what Charlie was doing to Trump or something, I believe, is implied. I forget who. I just, as you said that, I was like, I swear someone said shot in the back of the neck, and it was like a Shapiro or a somebody or 11, someone that you're like, what the fuck? And like the context of it, yes, it could just be pattern recognition, but you're like, okay, what the fuck does that mean? So I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I do find it like, especially like, as someone who was raised hunting and stuff, and like if you do, it is weird. Like you would be like probably a center mass would be the shot.
Yes,
I mean, maybe you could say
that's exactly.
Yeah.
Like he jerked the trigger. That's the reason why it clipped his neck to the right, in my opinion. Right? I'm not a fucking.
Have you heard
I'm not a scout sniper.
Have you heard
right?
the explanation as to why though that it shot up into his carotid artery? That it was actually a deflection from the bulletproof vest. And I saw like multiple, like there was one individual who had like combat experience prior and was allegedly making this claim in a very detailed way. It convinced me that it was definitely a possibility, and that's why he moved in that way. And also it made sense as to how you noticed that spot on his shirt, which I thought was very interesting. But who knows? I just think that they claim that is something that apparently does happen as far as bulletproof vests are concerned, and that was what was described is that it was it ricocheted up into his carotid artery, and that's why.
Although that could also be people could see that cynically as a way to wave away any criticisms of.
True.
Of like what the difference between the 30-06 and other things would do, because it's claims it's supposed to be 30-06. So
yeah, I was seeing claims that the rifle itself couldn't even use the 30-06 apparently, as far as the
okay, so you could. So this is what I'll tell you about Mausers, right? Since World War I, they produced millions of them, and we had tons of surplus, and they would come and get imported into America for like $5 to everyone in America, and people would go ahead and rechamber and rebarrel them. So the caliber thing to me is out of the question. They can change it to 22 long rifle if they want. Like you just have to go ahead and change out the barrel and several other things.
Okay.
So like, and you got to remember, 30-06 is a very common hunting cartridge, which goes back to like that's perfect with that. Now, what I would say this though, right, is I think it would probably be like a Manchurian candidate or someone pushed too far by a couple of fucking online nerds into the correct direction to go ahead and make this happen, if that makes any sense. That's what I think. Because like again, like depending on the type of armor he has, some armor is rated for 30-06, and then some armor like 30-06 would just punch through the son of a bitch.
Right.
Is the other thing I would say to you on that. Like
that makes sense. I just legitimately, I would be far more interested in considering the sort of program to Patsy, but potentially, okay, I guess I could see where he's programmed to take a shot, like in the Manchurian Candidate. I'm not saying that they don't effectively utilize their assets in that way where they could actually have them pull the trigger. I just think we've seen so very often that they're usually utilized as a distractionary tactic in the moment, and more often than not they're just firing blanks, or they're obviously attempting to provide some sort of reinforcement to the official narrative of how this high impact event is supposed to be embraced by the public. So I don't know. I mean, I'm willing to remain open-minded with the idea that he was legitimately radicalized into committing this, unfortunate tragedy, right? Which is what it truly is. But at the same time, it's like, man, I don't know, everything that surrounds this kid, I just feel like it's so hard for me to accept that he was the legitimate perpetrator. But yeah, I think you made a good argument as far as that is concerned, and it definitely is very much in the wheelhouse of being a legitimate theory involved in this. And as far as, I don't know, the official claims are, it seems to fall into place in terms of that. But I don't know, this whole trans gun violence movement or whatever they would have us believe is this new age phenomena. Yeah, it feels very contrived.
It just feels like they had the perfect fall guy and they just pushed him in that direction.
Yeah.
Like, at least that's just the way I see it, is like they had maybe bots from Israel or something just pushing him, like, hey, why don't you go fucking do this, you know? But yeah, you
Right.
could be right too, that, hey, it's like Sirhan, like the magic, here's the blanks and someone else gets them. Like
Yeah.
That's the reason why I was like, I don't know, it could be a psyop within a psyop,
By the way, I listened to part of Candace's most recent episode because she's been kind of talking about this, and she there's been the claim that I didn't really put much stock in it because it's kind of like just some dude saying they see some shit. I think I don't remember which specific person was saying that, but there was one claim about seeing out of state license plates at the residence and stuff.
I have it right here,
and,
dude.
And she said that she had actually been, I guess, talking to the boyfriend or whatever, the boyfriend's family, and they also corroborated that concept. So once again, keep in mind where the information is coming from, but also that's another thing being seeded out there, another source to say. I also do want to point out, I brought this up real quick. If you see this, here's another little fun thing about Zinn. So
yeah, the Reagan connection there, and how he's like hanging out in a hotel, like sleeping on the floor in New Orleans or something. I think was a part of it. That was so funny. But yeah, no, just reinforcing that claim that you were mentioning as far as the strange out-of-state license plates and unmarked cars as well that were allegedly showing up according to neighboring witnesses that were making these claims. And it looks like this was a townhouse that was $1,800 a month or something. And basically the neighboring witnesses claimed that no one was actually there for the couple of weeks leading up to it. Although they did say that 2 weeks prior to the event taking place, they did witness all of these out-of-state license plates and several people driving cars with these, and that they did not give off a good vibe, according to the neighbor. And it does fit very well with the idea that if you remember the Manchurian candidate, they had to reinforce Raymond's programming. At one certain point, they fake an event where they act as if he got struck by a vehicle while he's out jogging, and then they bring him to an institution where apparently where they housed alcoholics, which reminded me of the Haight-Ashbury Free Medical Clinic. It felt like some sort of built-in implication. And then the operatives were housed on two separate levels where it was basically a covert headquarters for running domestic ops for this sort of communist cell, sleeper cell in the U.S. in a way. And so they have Raymond come in and they have him all outfitted as if he's about to go through surgery. And then his mind control programmer comes in and they start having a discussion on, hey, we need to make sure that his programming is still intact. Therefore, we know when we say green light, go, he'll be able to effectively essentially carry out the mission. And so what do they have him do? They have him legitimately go out and commit another murder, right? Just to make sure, just to be sure. And so he goes out and he kills his boss. He's working at this very well-established, prominent media organization, and the leader of the sort of the head of this organization was a huge thorn in the side of this very cabal that was in place, utilizing Raymond as an asset. And so he had been running sort of dissenting articles and things of that nature. And so he's already a priority target. So then Raymond commits this murder, and just to effectively just reassure the specific operatives and handlers that he is ready for the mission. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, two weeks prior to the event, you have these reports happening. That's very interesting. You could very well see that this individual could have his programming reinforced at a certain extent, and maybe that is why. I'm not entirely sure, but that on top of him receiving that call just before going onto the roof, like, I don't know, man. It's very difficult to just dismiss. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you gonna say something, Bobo?
Oh no, I was just agreeing. Like,
Yeah.
it's all crazy. Like,
Right. And then you mentioned the pipe bombs, right? That crazy event with the that was kind of like a weird, almost like radical Islamic terrorism of some kind, right?
oh yeah, didn't that happen a couple days later?
Yeah,
Right?
like 2 men got arrested, right? What do you have up there? What do you have
This
up
is
there?
from Adam at Adam E Media. Now, this is one of those ones, I'd say, from my understanding of this guy, he is one of those ones, I guess, slightly better on a higher tier of what you could debatably say is a slop influencer sort of news type vibe, but I'd say he's usually on the better side of things. Here's a post. He said, this is from 8:22, so it's about an hour before we started the show. It says Ayel Yokovich, which I don't know if that's just the silliness of the name. It is a silly. He's making fun of his name. Ayel Yokobi. He said he posts evidence that the chief rabbi of Israel sent a letter about Charlie Kirk's death on September 2nd, a week before the assassination. He says Yakovich. I'm gonna say he doesn't like this guy. Delete the post as soon as his date was mentioned. Here's the tweet. It says, breaking, the chief rabbi of Israel, Rabbi David Yosef, sent a letter of condolences this morning to Charlie Kirk's family. Charlie was believed by the Jewish community. And then here's a letter from David Yosef, president of the Great Rabbinical Court, blah, 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 to dear family members of Charlie Kirk. With deep sorrow and great pain, I received the devastating news of the murder of Charlie solely because he was a clear and unwavering voice of truth. Charlie was a true friend of the Jewish people and the state of Israel. His great deeds and noble character made him a remarkable figure. In his modest yet firm way, he always chose to stand by truth and justice. To Erica and the 2 young children, it is hard for me to find words of comfort in such a difficult moment. A moment when the loss is felt at every instant. Yet the greatest consolation lies in the immense legacy Charlie left behind. I've heard much about his great work, and I regret that I did not merit to know him personally. This vile and cruel murder deserves condemnation from every single person. From here in Jerusalem, we send you our condolences and seek to strengthen you in these painful times. You are not alone in your mourning. Many among the Jewish people grieve with you. Remember, Charlie is a man who devoted his full heart and soul to making the world a better and more just place. May God grant you and your family the strength to overcome this great tragedy and to continue his legacy for future generations. And now he posts he has another like a reply to his original tweet here, Adam has. And it is, he says it's more evidence the document is genuine. And here's a tweet from the Israeli Heritage Foundation. I'm assuming, I don't know if they deleted this as well. You can see here, before we get into it, September 2nd, 2025. You can see in the top right hand of this letter. Bear in mind, this is just, I found this on this 400,000 follower account on Twitter, which is known for news. It does seem like it'd be pretty wild for him to sharing this out and completely destroy whatever bit of credibility he has. I know a lot of these guys have basically none. I think he does a little bit of some. This is just such a crazy level of like, this would be a crazy fabrication for him to run with or something. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out more. I just want to hedge that, with everything. But here's another one from the Israeli Heritage Foundation saying Chief Rabbi David Yosef of Israel sent a condolence letter to Charlie Kirk's family, praising him as a true friend of the Jewish people and condemning his murder as vile and cruel. Rabbi Yosef offered comfort in Kirk's legacy and concluded with blessing, may God grant you and your family the strength to overcome this great tragedy and to continue his legacy for future generations. Now, I don't know when that tweet was sent out, but then it shows in the top right-hand corner the September 2nd there as well, so it's the same thing. Now, the Yacobi one, I'd be interested in when the tweet was sent out, because the only thing I can see is maybe what they could say is like he fucked up with a letterhead or something, and like maybe like, and so this got sent out later. So I'm just hedging that out there. I mean, someone go find out, dig into this more. I mean, I don't know that maybe if this is legit, holy fucking shit. Yeah.
Man,
so
planned out.
Yeah.
Man, I do think it's very strange that, did you see the New York Post reported that he allegedly met with a rabbi the night before as well, who was like trying to convince him. Yeah. But
guys, Josh Hammer came and told us that it was all on the up and up. Don't worry about it. Josh Hammer, don't worry about it.
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Dude, it's crazy. And then you see the connections to Israel and the security detail as well, right? Like as far as the security team,
Echelon
even
front.
the Echelon front going so far as to even attempt to cover their tracks in a certain way with their digital archive. They're like essentially they're wiping their records at a certain level, which to me screams some sort of involvement in my mind, and especially when you have all these former special forces operatives involved who are clearly tied back to the IDF in some way. Certainly some of them were, and then that video that you drew attention to the day it came out, I saw with that kid, right, when he's talking about his witness account, and he's aggressively sort of disrupted by the surrounding individuals that were kind of wearing similar merch in a way, which kind of struck me as like, I don't know, what was your official kind of conclusion with that in terms
with the kid? I mean, I didn't really have a conclusion. I don't know. I mean, that's kind of just a weird data point. But I mean, I did see someone did explain and they gave me a take that I was like, okay, I guess I could see that. They said that like the group, because they clearly were the Turning Point USA workers. I think they were workers at Turning Point USA of some sort because they're all wearing the same outfit. I didn't really get a good look at what it said on there, but I'm pretty sure they were workers at TP USA. Right. And he was giving an account fairly stoically. You could tell he was a little bit rattled, obviously, because it just happened. And he was giving a fairly calm, seemingly accurate, composed breakdown of it. And then as he's kind of laying down exactly the scene, then these group of people in the same outfits as him come in. I think the TP USA people, and they're like, no, we're not doing that here. No. And they pull him, and he's even getting mad, like, fuck you, get off me, don't touch me, blah, 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 this, that, you get off me, like, all upset, and there's like, no, we're not doing this, not right now, like, and then, so what I heard is that, like, or what somebody said as a possible explanation, that, like, perhaps his friends rushed in like worried that like in the moment that like for one, like maybe he'd be perceived as trying to get like a 15 minutes of fame, or maybe he'd be rattled and say just not being a clear head of same mind. I think they were more thinking like, wait a minute, get like, hey, then then you can talk to police, like all that. Right now it's not the time for that's kind of the vibe I was getting, and I think I could see that too, because perhaps while he was being calm and like, they may have been also rattled. And I think sometimes in situations like that, people might project things on other people. They're like, hey, I'm upset, I'm rattled, I would be incapable of talking to media right now, so I'm going to, but I will still, it's still like, that's weird.
Yeah, I know, right? That was my opinion too. I sort of, when I was attempting to play devil's advocate to just in terms of why that would potentially happen in a way where it's not necessarily I don't know, just suspicious as it seems, is potentially it was fresh off of the event. And so I'm thinking maybe you have just the overall over emotional sentiment in the air in a way, and he was kind of like in detail describing him being shot and like the reaction physically of him being shot as well, and I just thought maybe in the moment you could have people who are very much kind of just ideologically imprisoned and radicalized in a certain way enough to react and not want to have that being discussed in their like sort of I don't know, in maybe just their direct kind of you know what I mean, just if they would have heard it, potentially it would have caused them to, I don't know, just recycle the trauma in a way. And they had this knee-jerk over emotional reaction and interrupted and disrupted it for that reason. That was my only kind of. And then also, actually, when I was on NDS yesterday, they mentioned the idea that, and I thought it was kind of interesting, that what if they were even maybe his friends? Although I will say he probably wouldn't have reacted like that, right? But they were maybe even looking out for him and trying to get in the way of that moment. But yeah, I don't know. I felt a little bit less accurate as far as why would he have reacted in that way, where he's obviously like pushing them off, like, no, what the fuck, and but I don't know, man. The thing that feels like the biggest smoking gun of all, that gave me as far as raised the red flag, highest in my mind was this flight activity, right? I just thought it was insane. Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever dig into that? Because I know I said the day of. I know, or the following day, or maybe because I had Ken on like almost immediately. I did address that. I never dug into it further. But at the moment, it was just one of many data points, and like this is me being someone who even has somewhat of a I guess you could say, airplane background or whatever, and I'm still like, what does it even mean entirely? Like,
Right.
I don't know. I always
Yeah,
hear
I'm also
this, and I know,
curious about this.
yeah, you can. I know you can look up flights, sort of. I know I used to do that as a military sometimes when I would like launch a jet, like get the fuck out of here, see ya, launch them out type deal, and then we'd be like, you got to catch them. They come. If I catch them, they mean they come down, they land, they whatever. You mark them in. We would be able to check them on our phones. Like there was a way to do that by the flight.
It's a mandated system.
Yeah. So
Am I getting kicked?
No.
Yeah, you're getting kicked, Bobo. Fuck off.
All right. I know my time's coming, and I always fuck up with my aspiness.
No, you're good, bud.
Okay. Oh, I thought it was time.
What's up, guys?
We are kicking you, Bobo. We got Shy in here. We bring in Shy. Any? All right. Well, okay, bye. I was gonna have a more formal goodbye, but okay. Bye, Bobo.
There
Oh, bye.
All right, now get out of here.
Oh my god, that's too funny.
What's up, Shy? What do you think, Shy? You think it's the Jews?
Yeah, man. I think it's
Hold up. Shy. You guys lock it down for a second. I got to go for 1 second. I'll be right back.
All right.
Yeah, so the way that I'm looking at it, this is just my theory and how I perceive it. And obviously I could be wrong and time will tell. But I'm looking at it like, and I've mentioned before on this show that it seems like a setup in the sense that a lot of the people that I would never think would be like all for Israel and Jews, just crash, just like super supportive. Like I've never seen some people that supportive of anything in my life, So it just seems like very exaggerated, like an act. So it seems like they're pushing this. It's like they're pushing this. Just giving Israel full on out, do whatever you want, and the world letting them crash out.
Carte blanche, yeah.
And it's like it's not even when, but it's not even if, but when.
Yeah. They're already talking about Iran. So it's like they're like when it's a matter of when. When are they going to get? Supposedly, according to the Gray Zone, they're saying that Trump's fucking terrified of Netanyahu. So it's like, dude, we're going to war with Iran. It's just a matter of when, like you just said. So,
that could be. But what I was going to say is when the United States stops backing Israel, it's fucking over.
Yeah,
and it seems like we are giving them all the power to crash out as hard as possible, and then. I don't know. It just seems so weird that someone that supposedly, I don't know, Charlie Kirk, I didn't know his name before he got shot. But I did when I heard he got shot and I saw who it was and saw that he got shot in the same setting that I've just randomly seen him in, scrolling through stuff. So I know that a lot of people that don't even know, like I've talked to people about that didn't even know who he was. But once they saw the picture, like, oh, that guy, So it was I knew automatically that this is a big deal. And Bobo had mentioned MLK, and I was thinking about the connections between him and MLK in the sense is he's like kind of like the white MLK in a sense that he is all about discussion. He was somebody that was promoting talking. You can say whatever you want about him and, whether and his style of debate or whatever in discussion, but he still put himself in that place to make that kind of popular, especially in universities that we should be able to just discuss things. And it seems strange that after 2 years, like close to 2 years, that now it's then supposedly the last month he started having a change of heart. I don't know if that's genuine or not, but it feels like if it's not genuine, then it was a play the whole time, that he was going to be one of the first people. And I don't think he thought he would be a martyr, but that he'd be one of the first people to start kicking off that whole turn our back on Israel movement. And it's probably a long game. I'm sure this is going to play out very long. But it just kind of seems that way. But maybe he did organically start to start to, see some crazy shit. I don't know. But, the whole Netanyahu press tour is crazy.
It's crazy, man.
It is. And it's like a threat. It was a threat to, like, I perceived it as being a threat in the sense when he said, I worked a little time in the entertainment industry, and I know when you see a flyer that says special invited guest, that means that motherfucker is showing up. You know what I'm saying? They just put that on a flyer to get people to be like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, I lied earlier. I didn't send my invite to anybody.
That means somehow someone was able to get word and be like, "Hey, you're invited to this thing. It's happening here." But that's not So the fact that he used those words, he was invited. I invited him to Israel, and then the threat came with the afterwards. Well, I invite him, but he'll never get a chance to take that trip. That to me was the threat to anyone else that might think of not taking his offer to go to Israel. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, he never get a chance to change his mind about that one.
Yeah.
All right. We're getting near the end of the show, but I did have one last thing I think before we get out of here. I did want to show, and I guess it's a correction. So yeah, that thing I found, I just did take a second to dig into the comments to find if I could find something, because I didn't want to share false information here, and it already looks like it's bullshit. So I just want to be honest with you guys. Here is someone who'd run it through some sort of, I don't even know if it's legit, but some sort of nerd shit to be like, this looks like it's faked. I mean, whatever. Take that. So that's at least seated out there. I don't know if that's legit or not. I'm not going to try to bother to understand nerd shit. Just know that someone at least has put forth the effort to say, hey, nerd shit says it's not legit. Then when I go through here, scroll through, I can find the original, the supposed original. To be fair, who knows? Maybe the September 2nd one was the first one that went out and they somehow corrected their problem. But here is someone else, Shiloh Freed, with one that says September 12th in the top right-hand corner, as opposed to the September 2nd. So makes a difference.
I've been seeing a lot of those too.
Yeah, a lot of smut. So just double check your shit. But yeah, I mean, I just saw it as I was like, holy shit, and it was one of those accounts. I was like, it would be insane if it was fake, and I guess that's how little effort accounts like that are putting forward. So keep that in mind. Keep your head on the swivel.
This whole case is just layered in disinformation. I feel like and
okay, and my bad. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead. But
no, you're good.
And Kirk were shot in the throat.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And they're both
silence your voice, right? Wouldn't you? Yeah, I know, and it's very interesting. I feel like there's no real any of this. If it is an operation, there's no coincidental outcome here. And so I think that they would layer in a message more than anything, and what would that message be? It would be watch your fucking mouth, I would think. And also beware of the current administration and how you turn your back to certain maybe political allies that you've been able to rely on in the past. And if you have enough influence to make some sort of a difference as far as the overall ultimate agenda playing out is concerned, then you better understand your priority target, And so, hey, if it is true, I have nothing but respect for the pivot. I'll be honest, but at the same time, I have to be very skeptical because I feel as if he did come out after his Israeli donors were lashing out against him allegedly, and he kind of recommitted to the state of Israel in certain ways, and so maybe he was just ideologically subverted at a certain level and conditioned into embracing these terrible ideas and running with them, but was authentic in his belief and ideology, maybe. But when it comes down to it, I always viewed him as one of the usual suspects of the controlled paid shills, basically a part of Modern Mockingbird, thrust onto the alternative media landscape at a perfect time when the death of the mainstream media is taking place, and they are desperate for some sort of a course correction, and to hold on to that diabolical influence of this sort of mainstream media apparatus in place, and so in no way do I think it's I don't know. I don't really. I liked what you had to say, Jose, about lionizing individuals who might not necessarily deserve it, and I think that happens far too often. And so it's not as if that means that you aren't concerned with the trajectory we are on in terms of political violence being very much, I believe, a sort of deliberate mechanism that is being exploited, right? And I think it is to disrupt and destabilize the domestic citizenry in every way and keep us at each other's throats on issues that really feel as if they do not deserve our priority attention. You know what I'm saying? And I think that is what typically happens. We find ourselves bogged down in debates and arguments that never address the root cause of anything, and we remain on this dystopian path within the context of the underclass, right? And yeah, man, I just view that flight activity. It's a major issue in my mind. It instantly, I think, the helicopter tails going off radar over the Vegas shooting, and Maverick Aviation being tied directly into it, which provided military helicopters to the U.S. military for fucking decades, you know. And I'm just saying, like, how are they utilizing flight numbers for the radar systems that were tied to private planes that weren't even off the ground at the time? How's that possible? You know, but we're not supposed to address that, right? These are the taboo issues that you're not supposed to focus on because they seem to, let's just say, throw a huge monkey wrench into the wheels of the attempted formation of the official narrative. And so therefore, I remain skeptical. I think, yes, with this event specifically, due to the overall kind of what are the kind of results, the dystopian consequences that follow, and that's my issue, right? Instantly.
It's almost like they I don't know, man. It's they're not even going to be covering shit up anymore.
Yeah.
It's like the same people that are investigating and told us this Epstein shit ain't shit is the same people that are telling us the narrative.
Yeah, let's believe Kash Patel.
Really, like, this is where
whoa, guys, I just got the call. We got to end it. I just got the call. There you go. I just thought that was a clever, since we're doing the Jew thing. I know that was an abrupt way to bring the show to the end. I thought that was funny.
That was real.
Well, I appreciate Shy. I do need to go get a shower and get to bed. We've done 2 hours. I think man, it was a fun show. I enjoyed tonight. We didn't get any calls, so what the fuck, guys? I don't know. Maybe there was some sort of issue or something. There was like over 200 of you at least. I'm not even like really counting Twitter numbers as are made up. But somewhere over 200, and somehow none of you all fucking called. Step it up. Call next time. I want to at least try out the calling thing. But we had a fun time talking about a lot, hanging out with you all in the chat. Shy, appreciate you joining us. We're going to boot you out of here. Come back next week. Love you, brother. Always fun hanging out with you. Yeah, we're out of here. Austin, where can people find you at?
Hustlebone says Austin saying lionize is the most Mossad thing possible. How dare you, Hustlebone?
That does sound, I mean, they would say that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're totally
Operation Rising Lions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh man, I had fun too, brother.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, you guys already know where to find me at the Underclass Podcast. Obviously, if you have the means and anything I've ever done resonates with you, and you would like to even potentially support me, then definitely I would say the Patreon's the best place. And as I've mentioned many times, at least there's an incentive there. You can watch whatever this is, which was another real fun one this week, obviously. And but yeah, beyond that, I'm kind of excited to go back home for a visit in the next week here, mainly because it'll give me an opportunity to kind of unplug for a brief moment. Mm-hmm. And I kind of think we all owe it to ourselves to maybe reconsider how often we are plugged in to this demoralization campaign, because I'm just saying it has a real effect and impact on all of us, whether we are acknowledging that or not. I think you become more dangerous if you're not. But obviously, I think it's inevitable, and it is the case, no doubt. And so I would just encourage everyone to, as always, remain skeptical with this. And as Jose has been saying, I feel like the theme here is keep your head on a swivel. So nothing but love. I love you all. Thank you for showing up, and I love you, Jose, brother. So as always, appreciate you, man.
Hell yeah. Appreciate it. This was a fun time. Black Eye asked if it works international. I believe so. I think with the 1-800 numbers, I believe, do work international. That was one thing we were talking over. I think, try it out. But I believe since it's a 1-800-1833 or whatever, but 1-800 number, I believe it should work internationally. That's part of one of the reasons we picked it. And also, I think it's kind of cool having a 1-800 number. But for those who want to support what I'm doing, leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. Don't forget I'm on YouTube. All the major podcatchers. I'm on Rumble. If you like watching this stuff live, Rumble, YouTube. I also have a Patreon as well. I do give you guys perks. Hopefully you get value out of the show just by watching. At the lowest level is $2, and that's where you get a lot of the value there. I give you guys 1 to 2 paywalled episodes a week. That's usually about 4 behind the paywall at any given time. So it's week of paywalled content. There's the ad-free RSS feed. There's the Telegram. It's also the underclass Telegram. So it's also a perk of his of Austin's Patreon as well. And also we have the pre-show and the post-show of Already Dead, and also the video calls for this. So all of that, if you're a patron, you can hang out with us in the second half of the show. I do like the community that's made with the live chat and hanging out with y'all in there. It's fun having this little inner circle of you guys, so it's fun. And then the highest level is my sponsors. I give them a big shout out every episode. It's over at patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. My sponsors, my former co-host on Tower Gang at Learned Toad, also at Brigades, at ZORCK, at _Invitzil, Tim Tuttle, at Jolly Cleeble, Will Bells, Delicious Dewberry, Rabbit Eye Wine, big fan of the show, Torn Main, at Wayne Taculus, and the Catcher in the Rye, because this one guy likes to Fed Jacket me. With that, guys, we're out of here. Love you all. Bye-bye.